If you take nothing else away from this presentation, I want you to take this away. During the early phases, setting up an internship plan. So this is as soon as you get the internship. This is actually a formal agreement that you fill out at the start of the internship with your supervisor. And it's going to include what knowledge and skills that you want to develop. So what you want to get from the internship, the expectation as per hour per week that you're going to work, plans for monitoring your progress at set times throughout your internship, and the supervisory ladder. So who you're supposed to contact about what. And I really, really stress this for really any internship. And if a company does not have something like this in place, I'd really push for one. I think as we go forward through the rest of this, you're going to see that having this in writing is really going to be what helps you get the most out of your internship. I mentioned monitoring, setting up a schedule to get feedback throughout your internship, but also for you to meet with your supervisor or manager in a safe setting to give your thoughts on what you think is going well and what isn't going well, and whether you're on track to get what you expect to get out of the internship and whether you're meeting their expectations. And again, this is going to reflect back on that internship plan that you have in writing. It's also a nice, safe environment to ask for any assistance or a modification if needed. You want to try to avoid having to leave an internship if at all possible. So if a modification is going to be required to help you complete your internship, this is a great environment to ask for it early or as soon as it becomes apparent. It's also a nice way to build your rapport with the supervisor that you're meeting with, which is going to help for any kind of not only networking, but for references that you might ask for down the line. They're going to get to know a lot more about your strengths and about your career goals. And you can also advocate for yourself during these sessions if there's challenges that you're facing. One thing I will mention here, as far as building rapport with your supervisors for a potential recommendation, is if you have it in your mind that you want to use them for a recommendation, but you're not necessarily sure that the career you're potentially looking at through the internship is what you want to go into, maybe try to avoid speaking too specifically about your future plans, just because it can look somewhat negative if you're talking to them a lot about, oh, you definitely want to do marketing, you definitely want to do marketing, you definitely want to do marketing, and then you're asking them later for a recommendation for a research and development role. They'll still likely do it, and especially because they've supervised you through the internship, it could still be a very strong recommendation, but they're not going to necessarily be able to provide the same level of background of your incentive and your passion for the role that you're applying to. And then I mentioned including a supervisory ladder or information about who you should go to when you have questions. This is a great way to ensure that you know who you're supposed to be going to for questions or feedback for any problems that you're facing, so that you're not asking someone who is not aware that they are responsible for answering these questions for you, which can lead to some conflict. I'd also say for your primary supervisor, try to keep in touch with them. Again, setting up a monitoring time is great for this. Even if they're not physically present very often, they should be making time for you for at least an online meeting once a week or so. I'd also recommend, in setting yourself up for success, that you try to have at least 2 points of contact within the company. Again, this might be negative, but in the worst case scenario that you have a manager that you have some conflict with, having only one contact, I think, is a recipe for disaster. So trying to have at least 2 people that you feel that you can communicate with about how your internship is going in the company.